Okay, the point of this video is to help you start and complete your workplace packet, which is your first major project in this class and the focus of our first module and the first 4 weeks of the course material. So right now I am in week 2 of our first module. Week 1 was more of an introduction to the course and some fundamental rhetorical situation concepts. And then in week 2, we learned some information around emails, memos, and letters, and now we are moving into the packet itself. And so this is near the bottom of that week of content, and you have this section that says resources to use when completing the workplace packet. The workplace packet was introduced in the text right before this, and that is where this video will live as well. So you have 2 resources, and they are the how to complete your workplace packet, which is an assignment sheet, a detailed one at that, and then an example workplace packet. So this is what your packet should look like in terms of headings, subheadings, section titles, and where you should have writing. And so it's an excellent resource for you to make sure that you check that your packet that you turn in on week 4 with its 3 parts looks like this example packet, but with actual writing. You're going to see that this has just lorem ipsum or nonsense text as placeholders for the writing. So it's more about seeing like the overall length and formatting that you can expect. And I'm going to go ahead and open up this document and this document. We'll go through both of these. Okay, so this is the how to do the workplace packet. So this is essentially that assignment sheet. And it just kind of tells you, hey, this is the assignment overall. It's a 3-part project. You're going to analyze a job ad. You're going to research a company. Then you're going to have AI write a cover letter that you refine and make better, and that this is the goal of this project. And we talk a lot about all this stuff in the weekly content as well, but it's just sort of a reminder. So part 1, it's going to give you instructions for that. Part 1 is what you are working on this week in the second week of the class. Part 2, which will be right here, is what you're going to do next week or week 3 of your module. And then part 3, your final part, you will complete in week 4. And at that time, then you can go back and revise part 2 and part 1 if you need to. And then you're going to turn this whole thing in, part 1, 2, and 3, all at once in one packet at the end of week 4. And all of this is in your weekly content as well. So part 1, basically what you're doing here is you're going to use AI, and I suggest ChatGPT, but you can use any AI tool you want to actually teach you about new concepts. So you're going to use AI in every part of this packet in a different way. And one of the objectives of this activity is to know the different ways that AI can actually assist you as a learner and a writer. So part 1 is going to have you use AI to teach you concepts. Part 2 is going to have you use AI to help you research. And part 3 is going to have you help you write and revise information. So part 1, the 3 new terms that you're going to use AI to teach you about are company culture, tone, and messaging in the context of forward-facing, like communication to like potential applicants or consumers that may want to work with or engage with that company. So for specifically for us, we're going to be looking at it in job postings. And so it's important for you when you talk to AI or ChatGPT, say that, hey, I'm trying to learn these 3 new concepts in the context of forward facing company communications, like in a job ad. And that's the prompt that you would want to give ChatGPT and ask it to just define these 3 terms for you. And these are actually very basic, quick definitions, just so you make sure that AI is giving you the right information. I've given you these 3 to cross check because AI is not perfect. So you always have to check it. And you're going to ask ChatGPT to help you learn these concepts and give you examples of each of the 3 terms if necessary. If you don't understand exactly what they're talking about with tone or culture or messaging, then ask AI to give you examples. So for instance, I would probably take this one at a time, and in ChatGPT, I would be like, I am learning about this concept, company culture, as it appears in forward facing company communications like a job ad. Could you define company culture in a job ad context? And then once it does that, I would read the definition and I'd be like, okay, yeah, I get it. Or I'd be like, no, I'm still confused. And then I would ask ChatGPT to be like, thanks for the definition. Can you give me some examples of this? And ask ChatGPT to explain it and redefine it and give you examples until you fully get it. And then move on to tone and be like, okay, I want to look at tone in job postings. Tell me about that. What does that look like? What is that in company, forward facing company communications? Define it for me. Give me examples of that and work through these three until at the end of your conversation with ChatGPT or your chosen AI tool, you fully get company culture, tone, and messaging in this context of company communication, like job ads, websites, social media, etc., but specifically in job ads. And then what you need to put into your packet in part one to show me that you have done this is just a definition for company culture, a definition for tone, and a definition for messaging. If you asked for examples, if you had a long conversation with AI so that you fully got it, you used AI as the teacher that AI can be, great. But to achieve your objectives, I only need the definitions. And then you will copy and paste those AI generated definitions into the appropriate place in your workplace packet. And I'm going to show you what that looks like by looking at the example. So this is an example workplace packet. So you're going to have a memo header at the top left. You just learned about those in week 2. You're going to have a document title because every document, like this needs a title. You're going to have an introduction paragraph to the packet saying this is a 3-part packet. I'm going to do this, this, and this to it, where you basically introduce the reader to the packet. Then you're going to be like, all right, part 1. Part 1 is a section because there's 3 sections of here, part 1, part 2, part 3. So a big section title like this, and then with a section title specific like company culture and messaging. It should say company culture, tone, and messaging analysis. I just caught an error. And then in here, you're going to say, what are you going to do in just this section? And so you'll write this after like, I'm going to use AI to educate me on 3 concepts. I'm going to find a job ad I'm interested in. I'm going to analyze that job ad and highlight examples of these 3 concepts in the job ad. And then I'm going to write an analysis of that job ad. And that's what should be written in here. Then you're actually going to get into defining those key concepts. So you have the heading, and you can just say in this little paragraph here, I used AI to teach me about the following 3, and the following 3 definitions are AI created. Then you have the subheading company culture, and this is where you would copy and paste the AI definition for company culture. It's probably longer than a sentence. And then here it is, you'll have the subheading for tone. You'll copy and paste the AI created definition for tone, and then same thing here under messaging for messaging. And that is what you do in that first section, as I discussed in the assignment sheet. Then the next thing you'll do is you're going to find a job ad, and it can be a job ad or an internship opportunity or something that you would apply for right now, or it can be a dream job when you get out of school. But just know that whatever job ad you pick is going to be what you focus on for the rest of the packet. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And the second thing to keep in mind is you want a longer job ad because you have to work with it, analyze it. And a flyer job ad or just a paragraph or a few paragraphs is not going to be enough. You're going to make your job harder in the rest of this part 1. So find a longer job ad. I found one in like UX design, and you copy and paste it right in there. And then you're actually going to go through and you're going to highlight examples of tone, messaging, and culture with different colors in here. And let me show you where that is in the assignment sheet. So back to looking at the instructions or the assignment sheet, we finished step 1. Step 2 is define that job ad, choose a real job, give me like a couple sentences telling me why you chose that job ad. And then you copy and paste that full job ad into part 1. And then you go through and with yellow highlighter, you're going to highlight evidences of company culture, blue for tone, and green for messaging. And then here's an example, as you can see, right? And then I actually give you examples of tone, messaging, culture that you might see in a job ad to help you out. And then that's basically, you're trying to find real examples of the 3 concepts you just learned in that job ad. And that is step 2 and 3 of your part 1 here. And then our last section here is step 4. And after you've highlighted that, the yellow, blue, and green examples in there, then you're going to write me a few hundred words analyzing what you saw in the job ad. And do not do this in a bulleted list. I do not want to see a bulleted list here. I want to see your writing in paragraphs, but I list out the questions that you want to try to answer in your paragraphs. And you can create headings for this conversation as well if you'd like. So let me show you an example in the example workplace packet. So this is what that analysis might look like, right? So here's your job ad with the highlighting, and then that last part, that last section of part 1 is analyzing the job ad. You'd be like, this is what I saw overall. And then under company culture, these are examples, specific examples that you highlighted, bring them into this conversation. And then of culture, and then of tone, and then of messaging. And it's kind of nice to have, like, even I don't show it in this example here, but a sentence or two conclusion, just being like, what's your overall impression of this job opportunity based on culture, tone, and messaging? Does it sound like a fit for you? Would you apply for it? And that is how you complete part 1. And so again, it would look kind of like this because this is our example. And then the next thing that we're going to do is move into part 2, which is next week. So you can pause the video for now and you can look at this again next week when you're working on week 3 content, or if you're working ahead, you can go ahead and finish part 1 and then come right back to this video. So part 2 is about company research. So you're going to use AI to assist you in researching the company, because before we write, and you're going to learn this in your face-to-face classes with me, but before we write for anyone, then we need to know who they are, right? And we need to know what we're trying to achieve and how to write for that situation, because all business communication is highly tailored, highly specific, customized communication. So before you apply for a job, you need to research that company for sure if you want to write solid communication. And so that's the objective of part 2, is really to get you researching the company that posted this job ad up here that you chose because it's the job you want now or later. So you'll have this part 2 company research section title. Then you'll have your introduction to this part being like, hey, in this section, I'm going to analyze the company blah, blah, blah. You know, they were the ones that posted the job opportunity I analyzed in part 1. It's important to research a company so that you can write tailored communication for them so that you are most persuasive, you can get the opportunity, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what you write in this first paragraph. Then you're going to have a heading called Research Overview. And this is where I want you to tell me, what do you do for research? Do you go to their website to learn about them? Do you check out their social media? Do you go to their LinkedIn? Do you use AI and say, hey, I'm trying to learn more about this company. Can you give me some resources to link to read? Can you tell me what you know about them? Just tell me generally what you do for your research under Research Overview. Then under your specific company findings, you're going to just very briefly be like, you know, in summary, I found out this, that, and the other thing about this company. For a detailed discussion, see below. And then you have these provided subheadings: company overview, major accomplishment, missions and values and actions, industry position and growth, and career fit takeaways. Don't change those. Those are the subheadings that are required, just like all these headings that you see and section titles are required in here as they are written. And then you will write your paragraphs, not bulleted lists again. I don't want to see bulleted lists anywhere in here. It's all about your writing, where you talk about what did you find out for company overview and major accomplishments? What did you find out about their mission statement and their values and actions, et cetera, et cetera. And that is the end of part 2. It's a little bit simpler. So let me show you what the part 2 instructions look like in that assignment sheet. So I'm back in the assignment sheet, and it says basically what I just said to you. This is what we're doing in this section. And then it says you're going to write that research overview heading, which I explained already. And then you're going to complete the specific company findings, just like I explained already. And what I want to show you, this will help you, that I didn't say yet, is underneath each one of these subheadings that we already looked at in the example: company overview, major accomplishments, mission, values, industry position, growth, career fit takeaways. Under here, I have a little tip, like, what are you looking for here in this section? What are you looking for in this section? Etc., etc. And so these little tips on how to fill out these subheadings in part 2 are in the assignment sheet itself. Okay. And then once you're done with that, so part 2 is a little bit easier, part 3 is a little more involved, and this is part 3 that will be completed in the final week of your module. Our modules are 4 weeks long, so you would start part 3 in you would start and complete part 3 in week 4, because you will turn in the entire packet with all 3 parts at that time. So hopefully, if it is week 4 and you are back in this video, you've already completed 1 and 2, parts 1 and 2, so that you're not behind and feeling overwhelmed. Again, part 3, this is about now using AI to help you write. So we have used AI to help us learn, help us research, and now help us actually write. So you're going to basically have AI generate a cover letter for you, and then you're going to analyze that cover letter for things you don't like about it and what you're going to do to fix it, and then you're going to go in and fix it in the cover letter. So let's actually look at an example. I think that might help before we get into these instructions. Okay, so we are in part 3 of the example workplace packet, right? So remember, yours is going to look like this. Part 1, part 2, company research, and part 3, cover letter reflection. So in here, you're going to, just like always, so you have a section title for your part 3, and then you have an introduction to that section. What is going to happen in this section? What are you going to do? What are you going to use AI to do? What are you going to do with the cover letter? This is an introduction to the section. Then we actually get into the headings, the required headings. The first one is cover letter generation. You're going to have this heading, and then in this paragraph or 2, you're going to tell me, what did you do? What did you give AI tool, your ChatGPT, whatever, so that it could write you a good cover letter? So some things that you may do are give it your resume, write a description of who you are, tell AI why you think you're a great candidate, obviously feed it the job ad, maybe give it direction in terms of tone or things to highlight from what you learned about tone, messaging, and culture, things you like that you also bring. Like, you're going to basically coach AI to write you a letter. And the better the input to ChatGPT or AI, the better the output usually. So be specific, be detailed. And in this section that you've highlighted here under cover letter generation, this is where you tell me what you did. So it's very likely it would be longer than a paragraph. Cover letter analysis and revision plan. This is where you do exactly as it says. You're going to be like, hey, overall, the letter was good. I like this, that, and the other thing. But now we're going to focus on what were the things you didn't like. So in this paragraph you've highlighted here, you're kind of giving like your general overview of the letter that was created by AI. And then you have this required subheading, negative aspects of the AI generated letter. And in here, you're going to give me a detailed discussion. This is important. This is where most of your grade is earned in part 3, is in this negative analysis and then ways to improve. So you're not actually writing the full letter. So spend some time in here. And it's just going to be like, tell me things you didn't like about the letter. And you're going to have that AI letter. You're going to turn that into me in the same Dropbox that you're going to turn this workplace packet or assignment link. It's not going to be in here though. And I do say that in your directions. Do not copy and paste a cover letter and drop it into this packet. They are separate documents. But in the original AI letter, highlight the things you want to change. Highlight the things you don't like. Just like you highlighted things in the job ad and then you discuss them later in the job ad analysis, the same thing's going to happen here. You're going to highlight things in the AI generated cover letter that you don't like, words that you would never use, false details, things that just like need to be expanded upon or removed, all that kind of stuff. And then you're going to talk about those specific things in this section I have highlighted here. Then you're going to talk about how you would improve it. So tell me, like, what would you do to make it sound more like you, to represent who you are? Because that's what it is. It's a cover letter that represents who you are as an applicant. It's a persuasive document trying to get them to hire you. So what do you need to add to it to make it more in alignment with that? What information, what stories do you need to tell? What words do you need to change? And be specific in here in the ways to improve. And then once you've done that, now you go to the letter, the original AI letter, and you change it. And the requirement is that you adjust 25% of that letter. You change the wording, you you add in things, like whatever you need to do, and bold anything that you changed or added in. And then I'll be able to see the letter before with your highlights of the things that are wrong, and the letter afterwards with the bolded things that you've made, that you've corrected based on this ways to improve that you tell me you're going to do. And then in concluding thoughts, you can just wrap up like your experience using AI to write and the pros and cons of that experience. And then notice how it'll say here, hey, yeah, I am going to attach a couple separate documents to this. I'm going to attach the AI generated cover letter, and I'm going to attach the revised cover letter. Okay, just like I said. So you have 3 documents that you turn in at the end of week 4. One document is this multi-page packet, just like this. The other document is going to be that highlighted in yellow or red or green or blue or whatever speaks to you, AI cover letter that highlighted parts that you don't like using this. And then the other document is going to be the revised cover letter where you bold any changes that you've made that are in alignment with your plan to change and improve it. And that is your workplace packet. Okay. So again, use this to help you know what you're turning in. And then let's just take one final look at that assignment sheet. So basically, this is the assignment sheet, and this is the set of instructions, not the example workplace packet. And I just tell you, hey, this is what you're doing. This is what you're doing in that analysis section. This is what you're doing in the negative aspects section. This is what you're doing in the ways to improve section. And I just give you more direction here, but it's basically just written instructions of what I've just explained to you in this video. And then what you're going to be, talking about in your conclusion. And then I tell you, don't forget to attach your 2 cover letters. I say to the back of the packet, but that's really like you're not turning in hardcover. So they're just going to be separate uploads to the same assignment link. And your final deliverable is going to be your packet that includes part 1, 2, and 3, and your attachments, the 2 separate cover letters, as I've already explained. So this document is literally just these are just written instructions of everything I've explained to you already in this video, whereas that example workplace packet, it shows you more of like what it should actually look like, your final deliverable. So hopefully this video was helpful to you guys, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions.